Hello, friends. My name's Ed. Welcome to Jesus Mentoring Ministries. We've been going through a passage in Matthew, verse 28, where Jesus says, "Come unto me, all of you who are weak and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." It's a great and awesome promise. But there's a cost. And I would say our lesson today, the word I would use is the word bittersweet. Bittersweet. There's a great sweetness, but there's a bitterness. And I want to illustrate by using a passage from a great book, Les Miserables. In that book, and there's several movies, and maybe you're familiar with the version that came out in 2012. In that book, there's a character, Jean Valjean. He's the main character. You see in his life, his backstory. Up to 26, he was just kind of a normal, average kind of guy. Was trying to take care of his sister, who was a widow, and their kids. They were very desperate for food, and so he stole a loaf of bread. He got caught. He was not a good thief. He got caught and went to prison for 5 years. Well, it should have been 5 years, but prison was horrible. And serving between prison and the galleys, he continually tried to escape, and he ends up doing 19 years. When he finally gets out, he's 45, and he is hardened against humanity. He has seen the very worst of people. And he's a very big, strong man, and he's just bitter in spirit. And when he is released, he's given a yellow card that he has to show people that he is a criminal. And they give him a few francs, a few dollars in his pocket, and he sets off to redo life. He comes to a village, and immediately when he shows his card, everyone kicks him out. They won't let him stay at the inn. They won't let him eat at any of the little bars. He tries to stay in barns. People kick him out of there. He sees a little shed that he thinks is like a little worker's day shed. Well, it turns out to be a doghouse, and a very big dog that does not like him being in there attacks him. And he flees into the night, and it's such a desperate moment, and he's so dejected in spirit. And he knocks at the door of a small house. Well, it turns out to be the house of the bishop. Now, the bishop is in a small house because he's had his life change. At one time, he was a great aristocrat, but he was caused to flee earlier in his life, and on his way back, he met Napoleon, who gave him the position of bishop. But with his heart change, and Napoleon gives him this huge castle to stay in, and this church, and this body of people to take care of. But when he gets to this town and he sees the desperate need, like they have a teeny tiny hospital, he quickly changes places with the hospital. Let them use his castle, and he stays in this little house that was the hospital. And Jean Valjean knocks at the door, shows him his yellow card, and pretty much dares him to love him. Just let me stay in your barn. And the bishop's like, "Oh, no, brother. You're not staying in my barn. You are staying in my house. Have you eaten? You haven't eaten. Oh, let me make you a dinner." Quickly, a dinner's made for him, and he eats it voraciously like an animal, and clearly in his body language is making sure people stay away from him. Now, the bishop, the only thing he has left of his aristocracy days is 6 pieces of silver, their spoons, their forks, and 2 candlesticks that are both made of silver. Well, in the middle of the night, Jean Valjean takes the silverware, throws it in his backpack, and leaves, climbs over the garden wall, and heads out into the darkness. In the morning, the housekeeper and the bishop's sister see that it's been stolen, and the bishop has such a great and gracious spirit. He's like, obviously our traveler needed it more than us, and we can eat with wooden spoons and we'll be okay. When there's a knock at the door, there are some gendarmes, the police of France, and they have caught Jean Valjean. They have seen the silver, and they've brought him back to confront him before the bishop. And as they knock at the door and they start to say, hey, we caught this guy and he had your silverware, the bishop is quick to say, and I bet you he told you that I gave him that silverware. And they're like, yeah, he did. He said that. And in the background, you can see Jean Valjean, very resigned to his fate, because now he knows he will spend the rest of his life in prison. There is no escape. There's no turning back. He is a dead man. But the bishop says, oh, my friends, I gave him the silverware, but he forgot the candlesticks. And he goes and he grabs the candlesticks and he gives them to Jean Valjean. And you don't know who's more shocked, the police or Jean Valjean. Well, the police leave. They're like, okay, hey, true story, great, have a great day. And here's this big hulking man, Jean Valjean, who's shaking. Doesn't know how to deal with what's just happened. This doesn't fit the narrative. And as he's standing there, the bishop tells him, today, you have promised to pursue evil. I have bought your soul from evil and brought it to good. And you have promised to pursue good. And he sends him on his way. And this is the beautiful story that everyone remembers. And it's like, wow, great. But this isn't the heart of the story. Jean Valjean is wrestling in his spirit. He is so angry because now there's this dichotomy. He's seen the hardness, the awfulness of people, but now this bishop has had the audacity to love him, and there's not a space in his brain for that. And furthermore, he recognizes that he has given him life. And so he goes off in the mountains off the beaten path, and he's wrestling and he's struggling and he's tormented in spirit, and he doesn't eat. He's walking and he's sitting, and as he's sitting there contemplating all this with just great anger, a 10-year-old boy he hears coming by. And the boy is singing. It's cheerful, and he's got a couple coins he's throwing in the air and catching. Imagine a dime and a quarter, and he's throwing it and he's catching it behind his back, and he's just having fun singing. Well, he throws them in the air, and that's seeing Jean Valjean, and he drops them. And he's looking in the dirt for them when Jean Valjean covers up the quarter, let's say. And the boy realizes that his quarter must be under his boot. And at first he's like, sir, please, can you move your boot? My quarter's under there. And Jean Valjean, very hardened spirit, says, no, your quarter's not there. I'm not going to move my boot. And it's just mean to him. Mean. And the boy goes from being very cheerful and caring to just hurt. And finally he goes off crying. And Jean Valjean is still lost in his thoughts and his torment. And he moves his foot and he sees the shine of that quarter. And he realizes all the things he hates in humanity are in him. That he's become the worst, that he is the worst, the things that he hates, and his heart is crushed. This is not who or what he wants to be. He doesn't want to be the world, and he grabs that money and he searches for the boy. His name is Gervais. And he's looking and he's searching and he can't find him. And he meets a priest on horse, and he gives him a bunch of money. He says, please find this boy. Give him this from me. And the priest is like, look, I don't know that boy. You know, a lot of people wander through, and he's probably just a wanderer. And crestfallen at the reality of who he is, of what he is, Jean Valjean wrestles, and he wrestles. And finally, he decides he's going to give it up. He is going to pursue good. And I love the chapter opens, or that chapter closes, with no one knows what happened to Jean Valjean. But late that night, someone happening to go by the priest's little house saw the figure of a very large man kneeling by his door in prayer. Jean Valjean was transformed, and from that moment on, you see in his life that he pursues good. It's a beautiful story. You need to read the book. Movie's okay, book's better. Book is always better. Just take my word for it. Friend, the thing we have to see is that we are Jean Valjean. Each of us has this sinful nature, and we fool ourselves. We like to believe that we're basically decent people who screw up now and then. Some people, I always like when someone says, why do bad things happen to good people? See, that's a lie, because there are no good people. There are no good people. Every one of us has evil within us. Now, you may not have acted out on your evil. Maybe you have. Maybe you've done hurtful things to other people. You've said horrible things. But maybe you've been mostly self-controlled your life and you haven't dealt with a lot of horrible experience, and so you've been basically a good person. It does not negate the fact that at your core, our very core, there is within us this human nature that is bent, and it is bent on destruction and evil. Within me, there are murderous thoughts, there's hateful thoughts, there's lust, there's pride, there's envy, there's all number of evil. And the question is, will I serve myself? Will I pursue my way? Or will I accept the amazing gift that Jesus offers? It was cool that the bishop gave silver to set Jean Valjean free. My friends, Jesus gave his very life to save you from this evil. Not just death, but to give your life an incredible, meaningful purpose. That's what he lays before you. He wants you to take his yoke. What that means is he wants you to take on doing good works. No longer pursuing yourself, no longer pursuing things that numb you or just fill that evil nature that's never satisfied. No. He wants you to pursue good, to make a difference, to touch lives. Let your life be a blessing the way it was intended from God created you. Going way back to the beginning of time, when God created Adam and Eve, he created them to do good works. There are good works that God intends and desires that you do, and as you do them, you will find joy. That's the sweet. The bitter is the facing that my sinful nature, I'm an ugly, ugly person. That's where I love working with people on the street, alcoholics, guys who've been to prison, because they understand the reality. They know what they're capable of. If you've grown up in suburbia, you have no idea what you're capable of. Well, you may have an idea, but you've never been pushed. You've never been put in that corner where you've seen the ugly in you. I hope you never are. But they understand. They understand full that reality of the bitter and the amazing, incredible, gracious gift that Jesus gives us in setting us free and getting us and us allowing us to surrender our hearts to good. I want you to pray on that. I want you to chew on that. Again, as I said before, I want to hear from you. If you're like, old man, you're crazy, please let me know. If you're like, old man, been there, help, let's talk. Hey, you have a blessed day.